What you're about to hear is not motivation. It's not self-help. It's a weapon, a mental hack so sharp it can either elevate you above every ordinary mind or strip away the very thing that makes you human. Most will never dare to use it, but if you're still listening, you've already chosen your side. Ask yourself this right now. What if your emotions have been lying to you your whole life? Not because emotions are evil, but because they are loud, and what is loud often drowns out what is true. Think of the last time you called a decision logical. Was it logic or fear wearing logic's mask? Think of the last time you said, "I'm sure." Was it certainty or desire dressing up as conviction? Think of the last time you said, "I don't care." Was it stoicism or ego hiding from a truth it didn't want to face? If your mind is a theater, your emotions own the speakers. They blast the soundtrack. They set the lighting. They tilt the stage. So the forbidden question isn't, how do I remove emotion? That's impossible and inhuman. The real question is, how do I hold emotion and truth at the same time? How do I carry fear without being carried by it? How do I hold desire without being held hostage by it? There is an answer. It is simple to say and brutal to apply. Schools reward quick answers. Jobs reward predictable responses. Platforms reward emotional spikes. The result? Most minds learn to live inside one frame at a time. When fear takes over, the worst case becomes the only case. When desire takes over, the best case becomes the only case. When ego takes over, neither case is allowed to exist. Narrow vision feels safe because it is tight, familiar, and loud. But narrow vision is blindness dressed as confidence. You become certain of a tiny slice of reality while ignoring the rest of the map. Geniuses aren't born with a different brain. They use a different frame. They don't ask, "What should I do?" They ask, "What are the edges here? Where does this go if everything breaks? And where does this go if everything clicks? What lives between those edges?" The moment you can stand outside your immediate emotion and hold both extremes in your hands, you've stepped into a higher layer of intelligence. Not more information, better position. Most people live trapped inside a single story at a time. When fear strikes, the mind magnifies the worst possible outcome until it feels inevitable. When desire ignites, the mind amplifies the best possible reward until it blinds you to risk. When ego takes over, both sides disappear and you march forward certain but blind. This is the trap of average thinking. It is why people freeze, why they gamble, why they regret. It is why intelligence so often collapses under the weight of emotion. The contrast hack is the weapon that cuts this trap apart. 2 questions, so simple you might laugh at them, but so sharp they can rewire the way you process reality forever. 1. What's the worst that could realistically happen if I act? 2. What's the best that could realistically happen if I act? Not fantasy, not doom, realistic. 4 syllables that form the spine of this entire method. Because here's the truth. Your brain does not fear outcomes. It fears uncertainty. It fears undefined shadows. It fears blurred borders. The moment you draw those borders, fear loses its power. The moment you define the edges, hope stops being a drug and becomes a calculation. Say the questions out loud. Whisper them under your breath. Write them into your notes. Carve them into your reflexes until they fire automatically when pressure rises. The instant you ask both, your perception stretches wider than most people will ever see. Fear shrinks because you finally defined its border. Hope sharpens because you finally named its prize. And here's the deeper secret. Intelligence isn't just about having more data. It's about mapping the edges of reality. Once you know the furthest you can fall and the furthest you can climb, every step between them becomes clear. You are no longer guessing, you are choosing with clarity. This is what makes the contrast hack feel almost supernatural. To the outside world, it looks like you are decisive, bold, even fearless. In reality, you are simply using a frame they've never been taught. They're stuck inside one emotion at a time. You are holding both at once. Picture it, a business decision. Everyone else in the room debates endlessly. What if it fails? What if it succeeds? Each trapped in their chosen extreme. You, in silence, map both extremes and the middle in minutes. Then you act. By the time they finish arguing, you've already moved. Picture it in relationships. Most people hesitate to speak their truth because fear screams at them. But when you name the worst realistic outcome, temporary conflict, some discomfort, you realize it isn't lethal. And when you name the best realistic outcome, honesty, respect, deeper trust, you realize the tilt favors action. You speak, you move, you lead. 2 questions, 2 edges, infinite clarity in between. That is the contrast hack. A weapon simple enough to learn in a breath and heavy enough to change the way you live forever. Here is the 2-minute contrast protocol. Use it as written until it becomes instinct. Step 1. Interrupt the reflex. 10 to 20 seconds. Emotions spike fast. You must spike awareness faster. Breathe in for 4, hold for 4, out for 6. Lower the noise. Keep the data. Step 2. Edges on paper. 30 seconds. Write 2 headers. Worst case and best case under each. Write 1 to 3 sentences. Examples. Worst case. If I switch jobs, 3 months of discomfort, possible small pay dip, need to rebuild social capital. Best case, 20 to 35% comp jump, growth curve, stronger peers, leverage for future moves. Why it works. The brain fears the undefined. Once you draw the outline, fear loses 70% of its power. Step 3. Map the middles. 60 seconds. List 3-5 likely outcomes between worst and best. Life lives in the middle 80% of the time. Example, relationship boundary, mild conflict, honest conversation, stronger respect, temporary distance, cooling period, recalibration, no change, realization, long-term decision later. Step 4. Weigh probability and impact. 30 seconds. Next to each outcome, mark 2 numbers. Probability, 0 to 10. Likelihood. Impact, -10 to +10. Pain or value. Multiply to get a weighted score. This stops emotional gambling. You're measuring reality. Step 5. Decide with tilt, 10 seconds. If top positive scores clearly outweigh top negative, act. If negative wins, pivot or pass. If it's close, shrink the move. Small test, short loop, fast feedback. Use the contrast hack for a week and you'll notice the room feels different. Speed. Decisions that used to take days now take minutes. Not because you're reckless, but because you see faster. Foresight. You start pre-calculating. While others react, you've already prepared the second and third move. Calm, panic can't trap you. Hype can't buy you. Your nervous system becomes the anchor. Credibility. People feel your steadiness. They trust your presence before they understand your reasoning. Pattern vision. You spot how often the middle path wins and you stop wasting energy on extremes. It will look like a superpower. Colleagues will ask, "How did you know?" Friends will say, "You're lucky," but you weren't lucky. You define the edges and march the middle. With repetition, the process relocates from your notebook into your reflexes. You will feel the moment emotions try to hijack the frame, and you will quietly widen the frame until the hijack fails. That's meta-intelligence. Not more facts, but a higher operating position. This is the seduction. The wins stack. The respect builds. The ease becomes addictive. And if you don't guard your soul, the shadow follows. Every weapon cuts both ways. Push this too far and life becomes an optimization problem. You stop experiencing and start managing. Jokes become social leverage opportunities. Love becomes a risk/return curve. Rest becomes recovery ROI. People become variables. You become absent from your own life. At first, it feels advanced, like you've ascended. Then it hits. You're efficient but empty. You win arguments and lose intimacy. You choose brilliantly and feel nothing. You become the architect of outcomes and the orphan of your own emotions. Red flags. You rehearse worst case so much that joy dies before it arrives. You dismiss best case as naive even when evidence supports it. You cannot decide without a model. Intuition is exiled. People feel managed by you, not met by you. The tool didn't steal your humanity. You traded it for control. Take it back. For 24 hours only, you can unlock the Whisper's secret ruthless intelligence and manipulation at 50% off. This isn't motivation. It's a weapon. Inside, you'll find the complete audiobook and ebook, 15+ chapters of psychological warfare, focus drills, and ruthless intelligence laws. Plus, a bonus guide to deprogram the traps the system built inside your mind. But remember, once the 24 hours close, the full price returns. Use code POWER50 now before the door locks. Link is in the top comment. To use the contrast hack safely, you must also use it dangerously. You must hold both forces at once, precision and presence. Too much precision, and you become a machine. Too much presence, and you drown in emotion. The balance is not easy, but it is the only way to keep your mind sharp and your soul intact. This balance is what I call the reattachment protocol, RAP. Decide cold, live warm. Make decisions with numbers, but carry them with heart. Draw the boundary rationally, but deliver it compassionately. Choose the move strategically, but celebrate it like a human being. The cold decision is what protects you from chaos. The warm execution is what keeps you alive inside the decision. If you only decide cold, you will win, but feel nothing. If you only live warm, you will feel, but collapse under pressure. The union of both creates true mastery. Time box the edges. Cap the protocol. 2 minutes minutes for everyday choices, 5 for high stakes, then act. Why? Because overanalysis is just fear dressed in strategy. It's the mind's way of avoiding courage. Time boxing forces the decision out of the shadows and into the light. It says, I will not spend 3 hours circling fear when I can spend 3 minutes defining it. The human check. Before finalizing, ask yourself 2 ruthless questions. Does this align with my values? If someone used this method on me, would I respect it? If the answer is no, don't abandon the decision. Refine how you will do it. The intelligence is in the execution. A decision that betrays respect or values might still be correct, but it will corrode you slowly. Intelligence without integrity is just manipulation with a better vocabulary. Warm rituals. Cold thinking chills the soul. That's why, after big decisions, you must anchor yourself. Do something deliberately human. Call your mother. Cook a simple meal. Touch the ground with your bare feet. Write 3 specific gratitudes in a journal. These rituals remind your nervous system you are not only a strategist, you are alive. They restore warmth to a mind that has just been sharpened into a blade. Consult your gut, don't worship it. Intuition is not magic. It is your nervous system summarizing patterns too fast for words. It should be consulted, not worshipped. If your gut screams against your model, pause. Ask, what data am I missing? Maybe your intuition is catching a subtle cue your rational mind ignored. Or maybe it's dragging trauma from the past into the present. Investigate the gap. Either update the model with new evidence or update the gut with fresh experience. Integration, not war. Leave room for grace. Not everything must be efficient. Not every day must be optimized. Leave at least 10% of your life open. Margin for surprise, for serendipity, for the silly moment that makes life feel worth living. Because here is the paradox. If you cut all inefficiency, you cut all humanity. Efficiency makes machines powerful. Inefficiency makes people beautiful. The paradox mastered. This is the paradox you must live in. Ice in the brain, fire in the heart, cold enough to see the edges, warm enough to stay alive inside them. Both, always. This is how you stay smart without becoming hollow. This is how you master the contrast hack without letting it master you. Make the protocol your default under pressure. Use these drills for 7 to 14 days. Drill A, the 10-second edge scan. Anytime you feel a spike, text from a boss, DM from someone you care about, market move. Whisper, worst realistic, best realistic. Say 1 sentence for each, then choose the smallest intelligent action. Momentum beats rumination. Drill B, 3 to 5 middle map. For 1 meaningful decision daily, list 3 to 5 likely middle outcomes and weight them. Probability X impact. You'll discover most wins live in the middle, not at extremes. Drill C, fear flip. If you're naturally anxious, force yourself to name best case first to rebalance your chemistry. Train your brain that optimism is also data. Drill D, hype break. If you're naturally impulsive, name worst case first to lower the adrenaline before you commit. Drill E, the 30-day ledger. Keep a simple log. Date, decision, worst, best, middles, tilt, result after 1-2 weeks. Patterns will expose your biases. Adjust your edges accordingly. Drill F, relationship contrast. Use the hack before difficult conversations. Worst realistic, defensiveness, awkwardness. Best realistic, clarity, renewed respect. Middles, temporary distance, honest boundary, improved patterns. Enter the talk warm because you decided cold. Drill G, money contrast. Before spending or investing, run the 2-minute protocol. If worst case is survivable and best case is asymmetrical, test small. Scale only when reality agrees with your model. Drill H, creative contrast. For creative blocks, worst case, bad draft, minor embarrassment. Best case, new angle discovered. Middles, 30% usable material. Tilt is nearly always positive. Start. Drill I, weekly postmortem. Pick 3 decisions from the week. Did your worst case come true? Your best? Which middle actually happened? Update your intuition with facts. This is how your gut becomes wise instead of loud. Drill J, humanization clause. Add 1 sentence to major decisions. How do I preserve dignity for me and them? Intelligence without dignity is just manipulation with a better vocabulary. 2 outcomes. If you practice the contrast, hack with discipline, you will become inhumanly smart. Your mind will move like a blade in fog, clean, silent, precise. You will feel the world slow down for you while it stays fast for others. You will choose before they even notice there was a choice. If you practice it without balance, you will become no longer human. You will optimize yourself out of your own life. You will calculate every moment and experience none of them. You will be correct and alone. 2 questions, 2 edges, 1 choice. Decide cold, live warm. Keep your mind sharp and your heart open. That is the only way to carry this weapon without letting it carry you. If this file shifted your operating system even 1 degree, subscribe now. The next release is the Edge Stack Method. How to layer contrast across money, power, and relationships without losing your soul. Stay human. Stay dangerous. We end here.